Well, hello friends, Josevich here. Welcome back to some Hearthstone as we continue playtesting a little bit of this Elemental Shaman deck that you can see right here. This is a reasonable opening from what seems to be some sort of mid-range styled hunter deck. They have not played the quest, although they have held on to their early cards here. And in our Elemental Shaman deck that we are playing, we do have a little bit of the Jade Golem package, specifically the Jade Claws, which you just saw. Oh. That's an interesting choice. So now we actually have options. Oh, we really got options. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to want to coin out the Tar Creeper. I'll weapon into this. I don't think that's a horrible idea. We do have the option of flame tonguing into this and then weaponing that down. But I like the idea of coining out the Tar Creeper right now. We then have to debate really quickly of whether or not we want to trade into this ourselves. And if we trade in with our face, we're taking an extra 4 face damage, which we will be able to heal back up or just win with arguably my favorite legendary. I think that's what we want to do, actually. Let's clear the board. We're obviously going to have to clear this poisonous 1/1. And at this point, we're not going to be having to deal with much more in the way of charge minions, simply because Hunter doesn't really have many more. Now they could throw down a nice 3/3 Death Rattle. That's probably one of our better results for right now. And because we did play the Elemental last turn, we've now activated our Stone Shaper in order to activate on this turn, which is such a cool mechanic. I really am enjoying this Elemental curving mechanic, where you have to kind of plan your turns out a little bit in advance. That's kind of super terrifying. How do we want to do this? So we're going to have to hero power. We're going to throw this down. This is a super aggro-y aggressive style of deck. So this now does 3 damage to face, and then I guess we basically take the kill, deal another 3 damage to face. That's a reasonable trade. Now we have a reasonably strong board anyways. If Savannah Highmane comes in, we can just kind of trade into it, throw down a Fire Elemental, unless we top deck a Hex. Hex obviously would have been better there and we would have preferred it. But we can just trade into this and basically maintain our presence. At this point, I feel like there's no reason not to trade here. It gets the beast off the board, which I think is probably more important than doing anything else. And the fact that Fire Elemental has the Elemental tribe package or tribe wording on it. This really now allows us to be able to play the Blaze Caller next turn, which is kind of super strong, and I only have one. I'm still debating whether or not I want to spend that 400 dust on a second one, which is why we have Alakir, the Windlord, also in our deck. What is this? So that's basically a free trade for us. So that's really, that's just really unfortunate for our opponent, I think. And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to trade and play the Tar Creeper. So what we're going to do is, that's the best totem as well, just in case you were curious. We're going to play the Tar Creeper on... Hold on. So the reason, just to be clear, the reason I'm playing Tar Creeper is to keep this Elemental chain going, so that then next turn if we need to heal, we can, or if we need to do anything else, we also have that option. I'll play the Tar Creeper here. This is basically... This might be a bad idea, but I like having this fully taunted up now. It's a 5/5 on our turn, so there's not going to be many chargers that get through this. And I think we're going to almost win if our opponent doesn't do too much. Now this could be scary. Yeah, that's pretty scary. That could trade in a few times, let's say. But this still basically trades off with our opponent's board. So this means now we don't have lethal, because this is now 10 on board, and playing Windlord would be 20, but I think that's probably enough. I can't imagine we get... Oh, actually, this is going to be 22 as well, because we should play properly. I just can't imagine that we're going to be able to get burst down 13 face. It is possible. There could be 2 kill commands in hand. There's no doubt about that. But I think this is probably a reasonable play here. Set our opponent at 3. They're not going to have much that they're going to be able to do to stabilize at this point, unless of course it is just that direct damage that they have built up in hand, which I was going to say I don't think they have, and obviously they didn't here. But that was a really interesting tech, having the Bitterhide Hydra in there, in basically what was a mid-range hunter deck. Okay, and it looks like we are off to the races here as our rogue opponent has just thrown out a nice big juicy Caverns from Below. So basically the game plan for us is going to be we need to hit our minions as quickly as possible. And then one of the techs that we have in this deck in order to beat this matchup is actually going to be our Bloodlust. Because what we need to do is we need to go wide and basically right as our opponent is trying to finish up their quest, which they're now very close to doing, let's be honest. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and coin out the Tar Creeper. Obviously, if the 1/1 comes back, so our opponent's already at, well, they're at 2 out of 4. They can play it for free. They can play their Novice Engineer this turn for free. But they probably wouldn't want to do that unless they can bounce it right back to hand. That's one of the things I think we learned when we were playing this deck. Is that you really, obviously, I mean, you can never, ever let your minions die, ever. This is going to be a little bit more power, but I just feel like the 5 health is going to be a little bit important, just because it makes Eviscerate a little awkward where there has to be also a trade. And especially a trade now is extra awkward for our opponent. That's unfortunate, because we can guarantee that's getting bounced back while we have 2 things on board. Patches, that's unfortunate for our opponent. Oh. What is this play? Unless there's another Shadow Step here, but I would have Shadow Stepped and then made a ridiculous Edwin. Wow, that's a really, really unique choice of ordering here. I think we're just going to go... We have to go with the Hex. There's no doubt about it. I basically think we don't do anything. We're just going to Hex. Is there another way? This is 3-4. No, I think it's better to Hex here. We just take the kill. This might be a mistake unless our opponent has another Novice Engineer in hand. I think we need to Hex that down. We'll put this down to the 2 health because I don't think there's any major breakpoints for Rogue at this point. And it's kind of interesting. Novice Engineer 2-4 and they were willing to sacrifice it. I think that's probably a misplay unless, like we've already said, if our opponent does have another Novice Engineer with another Shadow Step or Youthful Brewmaster or whatever the heck that other bounce back card is. I think that's a misplay unless this is some sort of new... Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, that's pretty cool. Is this 2015? Playing the Stormfort Jacks? So we basically... We have options. And I still think, and especially because we have the Bloodlust, I do want to now go wide. So I am going to go... I'm going to go with the Jade Claws. I'll punch here. And then I'm going to go face, and I will heal this way. The idea here is that we do need to honestly be setting up for our lethal in, I'd say, 3 turns. So we're going to probably just throw down this on the coming turn. Or this. The 12-year Stone Shaper, which is the Taunt and Divine Shield, just makes things awkward for our opponent. And potentially also the Flame Tongue Totem. So I just think our opponent made a mistake. And maybe they're still learning the deck. I know we made that mistake when we were learning in some of the videos that I have posted for the Caverns Below Rogue, where you really have to guarantee you're bouncing your cards back every single turn, because otherwise, if your quest gets interrupted early, you basically are never able to complete it, and your deck is so weak without completing the deck that you lose, as our opponent demonstrated here for us. And it looks like we are off to a very, very smooth start to this game. We got our nice little 1-mana 2-4. Obviously, slightly better statted than Zombie Chow, but because it's on 2 separate minions, there is that little bit of weakness. And obviously, our Fire Elemental does line up very, very well right here. I am tempted to Jade Claws just to get that power going. And I do think I want to. We're going to hold off on attacking with anything. I don't mind overloading us at this point, just because with the Hunter, we don't know what they're going to be up to. They could be up to some funny things with Hunter. I'm expecting this to be a mid-range deck. And we hope that's Savannah Highmane, because we got a big old Hex for it right now. I don't mind hero powering, punching, and then just continuing on our way. Really, this to me is a completely okay turn. And we have the healing to get that 3 health back. Not that I think that 3 health is going to necessarily come into play here. But... Oh, always Huffer, am I right? Oh, that's interesting. We could Maelstrom Portal, but I think we basically just Hot Spring here, and then we're guaranteed to have a taunt next turn, which is fine. So we have a taunt now, and we heal up a little bit, which is always good against Hunter to be healing up a little bit. And then next turn we'll be able to get an even better taunt, a 3/5 with Divine Shield, because of this super cool. I know I mentioned it basically every video, but oh, if that was another 4/2, oh baby. Oh, that's neat. So the unfortunate thing is we're not able to clear the board and continue our elemental train. And I'm not sure what's going to be better at this point, because remember, this card is on that's sparkling. I think it's going to be important to get rid of our opponent's board right now. And we could do that with Jade Lightning, but I think Jade Lightning is going to be a little bit of overkill. So I think we'll just do this way. This is lining up for a nice Aya next turn. We obviously don't have the power to get rid of... We do have the power to get rid of the 2/4, which maybe is a better play. Yeah, actually, I do like getting rid of the 2/4 more. It does make our board a little bit smaller and therefore, I guess, weaker. But because we have the double taunts, I'm not too worried basically about anything that our opponent does. Dealing 1 ping damage isn't necessarily something that Hunter's going to be able to do too efficiently. They will be able to. I mean, every deck has access to different pings, right? But just efficiently, this is okay. We can use our Divine Shield to punch through this. I don't mind that. Ooh. That's not very nice. But this is totally an okay response for us. I mean, that was the buffed card. And now we've got our Jades really going. Basically, our Jade Lightning is going to be super overpowered. As some people tend to complain about some of the Jade cards from time to time. Oh, that's a really nice way to trade up. Maybe get a little value if our opponent wants to. Oh, just pushing face. That's really risky business, especially against this deck. So we're going to probably Tar Creeper here for sure. When I say probably, I mean yes, we are going to. We now have options of how we want to do this. We're going to punch the 3 in. And I think we're just going to go ahead and Jade Lightning here. As much as that might seem silly, I just feel like this is... Because we have the Hex for Savannah Highmane if and when it gets dropped, or whatever else. Whatever other threats get dropped. And then we have our AoE in the event that we get flooded with some crazy sort of Hunter combo. Summon 3 1/1 Murlocs. Well, hey, there's the... is this lethal? I wonder. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're a little bit off lethal. So we'll go ahead and discover something. I don't necessarily want to Hex, but I honestly might just Hex this. And then just punch face. Reducing costs, Earth Elemental. Earth Ellie is basically one of the big 5. There's basically five big elementals that you want to be discovering. These two are both nothing. Earth Elemental's where we got to go. Now, we still have the option of punching the Flame Tongue. How many get summoned? Summon 3 1/1 Murlocs? I think we could just go face here. And I think we're going to do this. And that wasn't elemental, so in the event that we need to do something, we'll be okay. But I don't see Hunter being able to remove this and do all sorts of other fun stuff. Uh-oh, here we go. Here's something. That could just be another silence and push some face damage, that's for sure. That would be scary. Random Beast. Okay, we hope it's not some sort of crazy charge. A kill command. Okay. Yeah, so maybe our opponent was closer to lethaling us than we had hoped. And then we just say well played because we know we have lethal on board. Okay, everyone, that was 3 quick games. I really like that. This deck has shown that it can definitely curve out reasonably well. I was a little skeptical at first, even though I opened Kalamos the Primal Lord to start the expansion, but I'm definitely pleasantly surprised with the way the deck is performing, except when I make my horrible misplays, which I do still share because I think this is supposed to be a learning process for everyone. So if you're enjoying these videos, getting something out of them, or just want to keep seeing how the climb goes, feel free to hit that big old red subscribe button below, and I'll see you next time. Keep your stick on the ice.